to the Olfactofiles. I'm Tara, and today we have a decluttering. And you know, this was kind of a combination of a few factors that brought this about. First, I did a video that I talked about the 5 fragrances that I liked the least in my collection, and I was like waffling on getting rid of some of them. Not all, but some of them. And then I was like, well, I have all these fragrances, why would I hang on to any of my least favorite? So there's the first thing. Second thing that happened was I did my whole collection series, and in that I had to like hold and think about and talk about every single fragrance that I own, and it made me aware that there were more than just those 5 that I didn't really like. It's not that I disliked other ones, it's just that I didn't reach for them, or I had other things that were similar but better, or maybe I was keeping them more for the like actual presentation versus what was inside. And then the last big factor as to why I decided to declutter some bottles is that recently Joss Jane posted a big declutter, and hers was really cool. She's actually going to try to keep at 99 bottles. I'm not doing that, but I thought it was really cool that she's gonna like keep a set amount, and then anytime she gets a new one, she's going to like get rid of an old one, which is pretty cool. So anyway, those 3 factors kind of pushed me to think critically about my collection and kind of just, you know, filter out some of the ones that maybe don't really need to be there. So this is definitely not going to be a review video. I'm just going to kind of go through these in no particular order and tell you what I'm getting rid of. I believe I have about a dozen fragrances here that I'm getting rid of, so it's not like huge, it's not like half my collection's gone. It's just the ones that I really don't reach for, or there's something about them that doesn't sit right with me or just seems redundant in my collection. Before I begin with the fragrances, I would love for you guys to take a guess as to what I'm going to declutter down in the comments below. No fair guessing the Mugler one that I put in the thumbnail because that's cheating. But otherwise, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts or guesses as to what you think I'm going to get rid of. Again, I think I have about a dozen, so you have a decent shot of getting one. Anyway, leave that comment and let's get started. First, let's begin with the one from the thumbnail. So that is Mugler's Womanity Eau pour Els. And this one is a flanker of Womanity. It has the addition of strawberry with the fig and the salt. I included this one in my least favorite fragrances video, and yet I still hung on to it since then because I find it really interesting. However, I don't particularly find myself wanting to wear it. I do think, though, that people who enjoy this are perfectly right in enjoying it. I do think that there is something really unique. This is definitely unique. I'm not even going to doubt that. This is very unique. But it's just that opening is so intense, and it takes a while for it to settle down to the point where I enjoy it somewhat, that I just, you know, I have other fragrances that I can enjoy from beginning to end. So although this is quite unique and doesn't smell anything like any other bottles or fragrances in my collection, I still am going to pass this one because it's not one that I thoroughly enjoy wearing. And why not just go ahead and get rid of the other one that I still haven't gotten rid of from my least favorite fragrances video. This is Paco Rabanne's Olympéa. And I think I kind of thought I would keep it for like comparison purposes, but I found a solution for that really easily. I just decanted a tiny bit of it to keep if I ever do want to compare it for something. But the other thing is that I do quite like this bottle. This is the older bottle version that I think is prettier than the new bottle design. So I kind of hung on to it for that too, which, yeah, I don't really care for this fragrance. I don't think it's, you know, gross or bad or anything. I just don't like it and I don't want to wear it. So yeah, that's going to get passed on as well. It's Paco Rabanne Olympéa. The next one is one I picked up at Target. This one's called North Sky, and it's from Good Chemistry. This is a really simple fragrance, and I don't find this like up to be bad by any means. It's just that when I wear it, I kind of later wish I would have put on something else. And so again, because I have such a big collection, there's just no point in spending a day wearing something that I would have rather not worn and pick something else from my collection. So I've only worn it a few times. It performs fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with this fragrance. It's just not one that I particularly enjoy. So that is North Sky. I'm trying to go in an order that might get a little bit more surprising as we go. So let's go ahead and go with this one, because this one I completely forgot to include in my fragrance collection series. So that should tell you something about it. This one is Oscar de la Renta Bella Rosa, and apparently it's incredibly forgettable to me. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Some people say it's supposed to be similar to Delina. No. I don't get that at all. There's not necessarily anything wrong with this fragrance other than the performance isn't very good, but it just kind of smells like a typical, like, florally rosy designer scent. And so I think that a lot of people would enjoy this. Like I said, the performance is not great, but I do think a lot of people would enjoy it, but it's just like, in the grand scheme of things, I just kind of overlook it, and I completely forgot that I even owned it. I think I originally picked it up because the bottle's kind of cute, and it was on clearance at TJ Maxx. When was this? Maybe like a month ago, when I kind of first went back out after things started to open back up. But for me, it's just, you know, something that I overlooked, so it's a good sign that I should pass it on. Next, let's go with this one from Jean Paul Gaultier. This one is the Classique Essence de Parfum, and this one has a pretty strong orange blossom note in here. I think there might be jasmine in this too. Yeah, I think so. But anyway, so I like this fragrance fine, but I don't know, if I'm gonna wear something similar to this, I'm probably gonna wear Safenade, and that's more of a vanillic, I mean, this has vanilla in it too, but that, I feel like the vanilla stands out a little bit more in Safenade, but this is somewhat similar to that. And I think somebody in the comments asked me about that the other day, and I do find them to be a little bit similar. Not identical, but they are similar. It also has some overlap with the Alien Essence Absolute, and so it was a bit redundant. So like I said, I do like this fragrance, but it seemed a bit redundant considering I have two other fragrances that are similar. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass that one on. Okay, next we have another fragrance that I actually do think is a very pretty fragrance. This one is from Erin, and it is Bamboo Rose, and I did wear this several times this summer. I would say at least 5 or 6 times this summer, but I feel like I have a lot of rose-centric fragrances, so again, it's a bit of that overlap kind of thing, and I'm never going, like, look how big this bottle is, guys. What is this? This is 6.7 fluid ounces. Jesus. Anyway, can you imagine me ever going through that with how much that I have? And this is kind of a light fragrance. So I would, you know, like a lot of times I don't really worry about the like shelf life of fragrances because I do keep them out of the light except for when I'm filming, and they're in a cool, dry place. Like the way in which I store my fragrances will keep them lasting a really long time. However, things that have like more volatile notes, like a lot of citruses or fresh kind of fragrances, which this does have a freshness to it, those still, some of those oils will kind of deteriorate a little faster just because of their like molecular composition. And so this one, because it's so big, I feel like it needs to be with somebody who will use it fairly regularly, because I do think that if I hung on to this for 10 years or more, which is probably what it would take for me to finish it, it would probably deteriorate before I could use it all up. So that's kind of the main reason. I think this is a really pretty fragrance. It's great for spring and summer, especially summertime, because it is a really light, sort of like has this green freshness, but that rose in there too. Yeah, I don't know. I do really like this, but I just am intimidated by this bottle size, and I want somebody to use it up. Okay, the next one's a little bit hard because I do wear it sometimes, and I love the bottle because elephants, elephants, elephants. Like, I love elephants. Yeah, anyway, I love this bottle, guys, but I literally wear this maybe a couple times a year, and that doesn't seem like enough. I've had it for a while. This is, I think, one of the older bottles of it, so I've had it for quite a while, but you can see, like, if I go like that, I've used maybe 10% of it. So, yeah, for as many years as I've had this, that's not very much. So I'm gonna pass this on, hopefully to somebody who, again, will use it more often. I do think it's a great fragrance for the cold weather. It's, you know, got a lot of spiciness to it, and it is like a beast mode kind of fragrance. So, you know, it's great for the winter, but I don't reach for it that often, so I'm gonna pass that one on. Did I even say the name of this? I don't think I did. This one is from Kenzo, and it's Jungle L'Elephant, and now it will be going. Now we're getting to some fragrances that I think maybe people will be a little more surprised that I'm letting go. I mean, you might have been surprised I was letting go of some of the other ones previously, but if you've watched my videos, I feel like those maybe weren't a huge surprise. Anyway, here we go. So next up, Lancôme La Nuit Trésor à la Folie. It's a really long name. I know a lot of people really like this fragrance, and I can understand why. It does have this like sweetness with vanilla, there's some rose, there's some red currant in here. I think, you know, just kind of the note composition is appealing to people who do kind of like those sweet, gourmand leaning type of fragrances, which, you know, usually I am. And like I said, I don't dislike this, but there is a bit of a syntheticness to it. I know people hate when reviewers or, you know, whatever, people who talk about fragrance say that it smells synthetic. It just doesn't, the notes or the composition doesn't smell like a natural kind of fragrance. But it's not bad. My main issue is that it doesn't last very long on me. I think some people say it lasts a long time on them. This might last a couple hours on me. It's not that great. Maybe up to 4. Maybe up to 4 sometimes. It just depends. But I do like it. I do quite like this fragrance. It's just not the best representation of that style in my collection, and so I don't reach for it very much. So that one again is Lancôme's La Nuit Trésor à la Folie. And the bottle's really cute, guys. Dang it. I wish the bottle wasn't so cute. Next we have Tommy Girl from Tommy Hilfiger, and I got this because I just kind of wanted to smell it again because I used to wear it in middle school, and I do still really like the way it smells, but I only wore it maybe twice this summer since I've had it. And so I don't think it's something I would reach for a lot. So what I did was I decanted off like 5 mils of it for myself. That way, when I'm feeling nostalgic and I want to wear it, I have that available. But I can pass this on to somebody who would use it a lot more frequently than I do. So yeah, you know, this is just your 90s fresh fragrance. And I do really enjoy it like this. Doing that, I do a lot. Like I would go and stand in front of my fragrances and pick it up and smell it because I like the nostalgia of it, but I didn't actually put it on very often. So that's why I'm getting rid of this. I don't dislike this by any means. I still like the way it smells. I just don't wear it. All right, the last 4 I think might be a little bit surprising. And again, it's not because I dislike these fragrances. However, one of those 4 I don't particularly love. I think it's a perfectly fine scent, but it's not my favorite by any means. And that one comes in this insanely beautiful bottle. And it's so pretty. But I shouldn't have this if I'm not gonna wear it, and I don't even like it that much. I just like the bottle. So this one is from Lalique, and it is Soleil, and it is super hyped up. I think a lot of the hype has to do with how pretty the bottle is, but just because the bottle's pretty doesn't mean what's inside is fantastic. I think what's inside is perfectly fine, but I don't reach for it that much. The only reason there's so much gone is because I have decanted this one quite a bit. I think I wore it like 2 or 3 times since I've had it. And yeah, it's an expensive fragrance. Even if you can find it at the discounters, which it hasn't shown up there much, it's still pretty pricey. So this is another example of paying for presentation. And in this case, I mean, Lalique is a glass company, and this is what they do. So in many ways, you are paying for the artistry of that particular glass company. And so I don't really have an issue with that. I just, like I said, I feel like I'm at the point where I was looking through all of my fragrances and I was like, I love looking at it, but I don't wear it, so why keep it? So anyway, I know somebody's gonna be really happy to have this because it has a little bracelet, so cute, but it's not gonna be me. It's gonna be someone else who's really happy to have this. Okay, down to the last 3, and here we go. This one is another one from Paco Rabanne. I think maybe it's just not my house. This one is Pure Excess, and I like the way it smells. I do. I just don't reach for it that much. This one I definitely prefer significantly over Olympéa because I don't really care for Olympéa. I do like this one. It has that popcorn note, which I do kind of get. I think I've mentioned that previously. It's like a little bit sweeter kind of popcorn, like a salted kettle corn type of thing going on. But I just don't wear it that much, guys. Again, there's other things. That Shea and Blue Assault Caramel, it's not the exact same fragrance because it's not really a popcorny note in that one, but the salty sweetness of that reminds me of this. And although I'm not 100% sure I'm in love with that salted caramel from Shea and Blue, I do think I prefer it over this one. So again, I'm gonna get rid of Pure Excess, mostly because it overlaps with something else I have, and I just don't reach for this one very often, but I do actually like this fragrance. The next 2 I also really do quite like the fragrance. This one is from Guerlain, and it is Mon Guerlain Intense. I also have the Floral version, which you might remember from my collection, and I mentioned that I wish I would have got the big bottle of Floral and the smaller bottle of this one. And the other thing I believe I said when I was talking about this one is that it's not my favorite lavender fragrance. That would go to the Lancôme Lavandes Trianon. And so because it's not my favorite version of Mon Guerlain and it's not my favorite lavender fragrance, I feel like it doesn't need to stay. I have other things that I can wear if I want that style of fragrance, and yeah, so I think, you know, somebody will really enjoy this. People love the Mon Guerlain line, and I think that most people really enjoy the intense version as well, so I'd rather that go to somebody who's going to use it more frequently. And last up is one that was really difficult for me to decide to part with, but when I filmed the very last section or part of my collection series, there was something that I talked about that made me think, why do I even have this other bottle? And this one is Viva La Juicy Parfum. So this is, again, a limited edition like Parfum concentration, so it's stronger than what they normally sell. And it's in this bottle that somebody recently said in a comment that it reminds them of Mimi from Drew Carey, and I laughed so hard when I saw that. I was like, yes, it does, right? It's like colorful and kind of tacky, but I love it. And so I think that the bottle had really been convincing me to hang on to it. What I said though in the video was that Xerjoff Grand Ballo is like a nicer version of Viva La Juicy, and it is. It's a more, like, much more high quality, well blended, refined version of Viva La Juicy. It's not, you know, like, they don't smell identical, but I will always reach for Grand Ballo over this. So what's the point in keeping this one other than to look at this insanely adorable but tacky bottle? So I'm gonna pass this on to somebody who will wear it more often. I used to wear Viva La Juicy all the time. I thought it was fun to have this Parfum, like, limited edition bottle, but I don't really use it. And like I said, I just don't want to hang on to something if I'm just going to keep it for the packaging only. So this one is gonna go, and I have Grand Ballo if I ever feel like I really want to wear Viva La Juicy. I also have Viva La Juicy Gold, which has like an added like caramelly kind of note, but it still smells pretty similar. So again, some redundancy there is kind of a huge contributing factor as to why I'm letting this go. Holy cow, you guys, I had one more and I almost forgot. And this one may or may not be shocking depending on if you watched my video or not. It's from House of Sillage, and it is Tiara. Yes, I'm getting rid of a cupcake. I know somebody will be thrilled to have this, and I know a lot of people do like this fragrance. It's a really musky, has like rose in there, that kind of like vintagey style musky rose fragrance. But you know, that's just not the style of perfumes that I enjoy wearing personally. However, if you do like that, you would probably enjoy this. Also, I know somebody will just love having this presentation. So I am gonna go ahead and part with this one. Like I said, if you watched my House of Sillage video, you might not be surprised by that at all. But if you didn't watch that one, you might be shocked because I'm getting rid of a cupcake. So anyway, that one is gonna move on to a new home that hopefully will cherish it more than I do. I love the packaging, it's beautiful, but I don't really want to wear the perfume, so it doesn't make sense to keep it. So that's everything that I'm getting rid of. Apparently I cannot count because I'm pretty sure I said I had 12 bottles at the beginning and maybe also in the middle at some point I said that, but I actually had 14 that I'm getting rid of, so a little bit more than I said at the beginning. I probably will maybe give some of these to friends, but also I do tend to sell a lot of my fragrances that I'm not using on the Facebook groups. I don't really use Mercari or eBay too much, sometimes eBay, but I usually do post them in the different Facebook fragrance groups that I'm in. If you're not in any of them and you're curious, ones that I'm in and I like to use to sell or to buy or just to talk, Fragrance Marketplace is one of my favorite ones for selling things. It's obviously focused mostly on selling or potentially swapping. Also, Perfume Corner is a really small one, but Dr. Rose Chaperone, she is kind of the one who created that. She has a channel on here, I'll link that down below. But that's a small group, but they're pretty active, and that's a nice one for chatting and stuff. You can sell in there too, but it's more like chatting, that kind of a thing. There's the Xerjoff group I mentioned. There's the Fragrance Guru Nation that Robes 08 has. That's a nice one too. I'll try to remember to link them down in the bottom because there are a lot, but those are the places that I usually try to sell my fragrances is just kind of easier, and there's a lot of people who enjoy perfumes on there. So anyway, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up and let me know, have you decluttered any fragrances recently, or are you planning to? Also, were you right? Did you guess correctly at the beginning of the video what I was getting rid of? That would be super fun to see. I am almost 100% certain that some of you will have gotten at least one or two right, because I feel like at this point, if you've been watching a lot of my videos, you kind of know my style and some of the things that I like versus dislike. So anyway, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.